one overwhelming word, how would you tell Baroque for Renaissance? It's much more dynamic. It's much more sculptural. The colors are stronger. It's more extravagant on a grander scale, more pretentious. Any of those descriptions. Italian Baroque is taking classical elements and treating them much more freely. It is less linear than the Renaissance. Okay, I gave you vocabulary definitions, which you're going to have to know. So let's start looking at the images. Oh, also, one of the things that's taken for granted, and I haven't specifically said, you need to know the difference between a period and a style. A period is when something happened. A style is what it looks like. Now, a period is an era defined by dates. A style is the visual defined by design characteristics. I have put with all of these, with the most important of them, because if you're asked to identify period and style, what you identify. And these are, remember, the step pyramid, which was the predecessor. Predecessor is what came before. When something evolved from something else, or something was derived from something else, something was inspired by something else. This is the predecessor. This is what evolved from it. This is, I didn't even identify it. I could show you, if I choose to, any image that looked anything remotely like this, and I would expect you to identify it as Egyptian wall painting. And it's through these that we know about life in ancient Egypt, through the wall paintings on the tombs. A little bit through the hieroglyphic writings, but the wall paintings included hieroglyphic writing. And from the tomb of Tutankhamun, remember, which was the first tomb that was intact when it was uncovered, a throne of Tutankhamun and a folding stool. Both of these were inlaid. And another term, well, two terms, you need to know, inlay is when you cut out a chunk of the base material and you insert a contrasting chunk. Intarsia is when you're doing all of that with wood, basically, inlaying with wood. These are Egyptian ornament. Lotus. The lotus is anything that resembles the flower. The palmette is derived from the papyrus plant. So if you were shown any one of these, you identify it as Egyptian ornament, or if I show you this is a lotus. The palmette looks like spread wings or fans. I wouldn't show you anything that doesn't look at all like this. I wouldn't show you one that's very, I wouldn't pick this image to show you. Okay, ancient Greece, ancient Rome, ancient Egypt are all classical style. Now maybe there's sort of an Egyptian style, but that's not what we identify. The three of those are classical style. This is the Parthenon. This is the building that's proportioned so that it looks perfect to the human eye. Do not mix up, at least one person every term, sometimes more than one, mix up the Parthenon and the Pantheon. Get to know them right. They are both beginning with P. They're both in the ancient world. The Parthenon is the one from Greece. The Pantheon is the one from Rome. And the Pantheon has a dome, and it's Pan. It's all of the gods looking down at you. I don't have any trickier way to remember it. But it is difficult to remember. And this is the Acropolis up there on the hill. The Porch of the Maidens is where we got the caryatids. What's important is that you know what the caryatids look like, or what the caryatids are. And here, an entablature is architrave, frieze, cornice. You need to know those three parts of the point that goes on top of the column. And you need to know that all together they form the entablature. So if somebody says, what is the entablature, you say it's the architrave, frieze, and cornice, and you should be able to know which is which. Now, the columns down here, you know the base, the shaft, and the capital, and it's mostly the capital that's going to identify the columns for you. The whole thing is the order, including the entablature, and the base, shaft, and capital is the column. And this is the Doric, this is the Ionic, this is the Corinthian. That were defined by the Greeks. Okay? I don't care that you learn the names of the types of the vases. I want you to know that this is black figure and this is red figure. And if anybody asks you, the red figure is considered superior. It's more advanced in the development. These are two forms of Quizmo's chair. I might show you any image of a chair that has this general form, and you'll recognize it as Quizmo. This is Greek ornament. Generally, we're going to see it in the colors of Greek vases. This is fret or fretwork. This is acanthus scroll, and we saw various forms of acanthus leaf. This is an Athenian, which is alternating images. Alternating, sometimes it's lotuses or palmettes, sometimes it's two different ones, but it's alternating elements that look sort of like the top of a balustrade. This, the Colosseum, just one of the buildings that you need to recognize. This is the Pantheon. Remember, it looks like a Greek temple with a dome on top of it. At the top of the Pantheon is the hole in the roof that's called an oculus, which is the eye of the gods looking down on you. Oh, here it is in this image. This is coffering, one of the techniques for making the dome lighter. We looked at a couple of techniques. We looked at coffering. We looked at pendentives in the Byzantine architecture, which were really to make the ceiling lighter, so that it could span a larger span or be taller. Here are all the classical orders, and the two that the Romans added are the Tuscan and the composite. In these, you can't really hear. This is the Corinthian and the composite. The Corinthian has tiny volutes, these are volutes, and the composite has bigger volutes. This is the Megaron, which is the form that developed to be what is an atrium later. Here's a Pompeian villa. Here's a Renaissance palazzo. The palazzo was the private Renaissance, a private residence. The building derived in the Renaissance as an upscale residence. The villas at Pompeii took a general form. You don't need to know the names of each of the villas. Yes?
I just was confused. What's the difference between the Doric and what was the other?
I'm not going to explain it. You look at them.
They look similar to me.
The Doric?
The Doric and the one that the first